We want to be able to meet these people and have them understand the quality of products that we're growing in Iowa.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the State of Soy. I'm Aaron Putsey and we're coming to you from the Iowa Economic Development Authority offices here in Des Moines, and I'm visiting with Brad Frisvold. Brad serves as the Agricultural Trade and International Marketing Manager for the IEDA. And Brad, first of all, thanks for welcoming us to your office here. You know, there's a long and strong relationship between the Iowa soybean farmer and the IEDA, but let's first tell us about the IEDA, your mission and purpose.
Yeah, Iowa Economic Development is here really to serve Iowans. You know, we foster and develop relationships for business and vitality of economic communities within Iowa to help grow business and agricultural industry within the state.
And every time Iowa soybean leaders meet, you're meeting with them. Talk a little bit about the relationship and the synergies between the IEDA and Iowa soybean farmers.
Absolutely. So, you know, when you look at the dynamics of agricultural industry within Iowa, the Iowa soybean industry plays such a dynamic role in that. And from an economic development standpoint, we want to make sure we're at the table. So I help serve as an ex officio within Iowa Soybean Association and be that liaison with economic development to the agricultural industry.
Because it's really about positioning Iowa agriculture, Iowa products, Iowa farmers at the forefront internationally as we look to develop markets, create sales for what we produce here in Iowa. And we just recently had a delegation, you and I were involved in it, to Costa Rica and Guatemala. It was headed by our Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Nag. Talk a little bit about some of the key outcomes from that recent trade mission.
It still matters to be in person, present in the moment, right? So when we look at industries and global economies, where you want to be with your marketplace, Iowa being the #2 producer of soybeans in the U.S., we need to reach out to global markets. So when we go to a market like Guatemala and Costa Rica that we did this spring, you know, we want to be able to meet these people and have them understand the quality of products that we're growing in Iowa, as well as be able to provide that access for Iowa's farmers to be able to develop and have profitable industry that we have in Iowa from an agricultural perspective.
And Iowa logistically has a lot of things going for it, and I'm sure those are things that you tout when we're out and about.
Absolutely. You know, we're centrally located, and that gives us the advantage of having rail transportation to either coast, water transportation to the Gulf. And so global markets, even though we're in the center of the United States, that's what we like to tell our partners overseas, that we are a dynamic production powerhouse, #2 in the nation behind California, but yet we can reach any market with our products globally.
And when you're having those conversations, Brad, and you've been in a lot of them, what are some topics that seem to come up most frequently? What do they tell you that they're looking for?
A lot of times, it comes down to quality. They want to know that they're receiving a quality product, that it's trustworthy, right? And that's a big part of when we do these trade mission delegations and reach overseas, is that building trust is much easier to do in person, knowing that you can rely on that trading partner. And so that's a big part of what it comes down to, is a quality product, trustworthiness, and you can deliver on what you're promising.
And last question, Brad, when you return from these trade missions, like we just did from Costa Rica and Guatemala, what kind of conversations continue, and does our message resonate in terms of follow through and follow up with some of these key trading partners?
Absolutely. You know, I just had a call last week with a customer in Guatemala that we visited in February, that they were looking at some factors that they wanted a little bit more exploratory information on. You know, you look at port infrastructures and things that are happening. There's ways that U.S. markets and the Iowa Soybean farmer and the Iowa Soybean Association industry can help provide guidance on when we're looking at global markets. So it just opens a pathway up for a continued conversation and be able to allow that opportunity to grow.
Well, Brad, I want to thank you on behalf of soybean farmers for all you do to really take their message around the world to key partners and prospective partners. And it's one more example of the investment that Soybean Checkoff is making in advancing marketing opportunities and, most importantly, sales of Iowa and U.S. soybeans. Reporting for this edition of the State of Soy, I'm Aaron Putsey.
Progress is a human invention. We look at our world and we imagine how to make it better. That's the power of human ingenuity. We can redefine what's possible. At Bayer, we're shaping the future of agriculture, like farms where all life grows together. It's not impossible, it's progress.